Hey, this is Serge from Swiss Tesla Fan. So I want to talk a little bit about some Tesla news and service. So first of all, I've had some problems with the car cameras, mostly because I park in an underground parking lot and with no internet connection. And sometimes when I picked it up, it happened to me about 4 times until now. I would have a problem where the cameras seem to be working, but actually all the features using the cameras, such as autopilot, windshield wipers, and automatic high beam lights, would not work. So as I've had this problem a few times, I decided to contact Tesla service, and it took some back and forth with them because they want to remotely access the car for logs and diagnostics. And as I parked most of the time in an underground parking lot that has no GSM connection, they couldn't connect to the car. So I had to work with them to make the car available at times that they could work with. But they were very nice about it, and we did manage to do it. So that experience was pretty good. Now, the result was that for them there was nothing wrong with the car itself, at least with the hardware. But they did mention that there was an update that was probably going to correct some of the issues I was having. But also they mentioned that the car could be very sensitive, the cameras could be very sensitive to condensation. And that might seem weird to some of you, but actually to me it makes a lot of sense, because the underground parking lot where I do park, if it can have some very different humidity conditions, especially when it's just been raining, or it has rained during the day or the night. So that does make sense. And actually I was just checking my camera this morning. I was backing up, and I could see that there was a problem with condensation on the back camera. So that made perfect sense. Now the big question is, can they do anything about that? Because condensation is sort of like a natural phenomenon, and it can be pretty annoying. And in my case, the problem was that it wouldn't go away until I parked the car somewhere else and stopped it for a while. So yeah, it'll remain to be seen what they can do and improve about that. I'm not entirely sure. So yeah, that was it mostly for that. Now something else happened this week is, this doesn't concern me, but it does concern people who have been buying Model S and probably Model X also as a used car. So what Tesla has changed is that if the used car used to have full self-driving activated, but the car was sold as a car that was not with full self-driving. So what it means is that in the contract, the full self-driving was not actually listed and paid for. Well, the people that bought these used cars had full self-driving activated, but just recently, I think it's a week or 2 weeks ago, maybe even more, for some users, Tesla has started correcting that, and well, correcting if you want, but actually started deactivating full self-driving on those cars. And so I have the case of a friend that basically bought a Model S 75, 75D if I'm not mistaken, and he had the car for a while, and he was using it. He had the full trial period, and he was using it for a while. And then suddenly, one day, full self-driving is gone. And he tried contacting Tesla, and he couldn't get a straight answer out of them. And he just found this article, well, which I'll link in the description below, that says that Tesla has started to deactivate these features for people that haven't purchased them, if you want. Which is kind of weird, because, you know, when you purchased a used car, you would expect it to have the features it had before. But here Tesla is saying that basically if you didn't have that in the contract, it allows them to deactivate full self-driving as a feature, because you actually haven't in the contract paid for it. So my take on this is that's taking it a bit far, and honestly it's not the best course of action, especially for a company that relies so much on word of mouth for recommendations. I hope they will do something better than just deactivating like that silently. That doesn't seem very nice. And plus, my friend also had other issues with the unlimited supercharging that was also not properly activated and stuff like that. So it's all kinds of nuisances like that that really you should have when you have a new car. Now, last but not least, coming back to my service, so I had a very nice engineer on the call, and we talked about the fact that, you know, you have all these quirks, but for me at least, it doesn't prevent us from actually loving the car. But there are issues with it, and so we talked about some of the known issues that Tesla is currently dealing with. So one of them is the B-pillar cameras. So right now, as you can see, it's here at 3:40 in the afternoon, so not that late. But as we're in winter, the sun is pretty low. And what this means is that the pillar cameras can quickly have direct sunlight going into them. And when this happens, some of the features shut down, like Navigate on Autopilot shuts down, and lane changes are not available anymore because they can't see out of those cameras. And so yeah, here again you can wonder, we talk about full self-driving a lot, what can they do against that? And apart from making it maybe more intelligent in terms of trying to resolve from the other cameras, but you know, here we are hitting some limits of vision-based systems, so it'll remain to be seen if they can do anything about it. Right now what they've chosen to do about it is display a message that says the camera is either blinded or obscured, so you'll see that message on your car. We also talked about another message that I've been getting quite often is when I pick up the car and start driving it, again in my parking, I would get a message that says regen is not available right now, it will improve as the car is driven. So we talked about that, and the guy said, yes, that's absolutely normal. It's just an indication to make sure that you're not expecting regen to work, but it could be due to the battery's temperature, or just the overall state of the batteries as they are charged. So the thing is that it's not a good idea to charge the batteries when they're cold. I think that warning is mostly due to that. And last but not least, before I even mentioned it, the service technician actually talked about the voice recognition, and he said it is a known issue right now. There are a lot of people complaining about that, and he's spending a lot of time explaining it. I didn't raise the issue with Tesla because it was working a lot better before that new feature, and my expectation is that would come back. But then, you know, I did realize that some people are picking up their cars now, and they will discover this feature that doesn't work properly right now, and they might be very disappointed. And you know, so that's a very different experience for somebody who's just purchased the car. And again, I think, yeah, Tesla needs to be more careful with quality, because some of these updates do have serious issues with quality, which can impact the perception of people. So I think that's really something that I understand that they want to get these things out quickly and stuff, but I think it might be problematic to rush things when they're really not ready. Because here, I mean, the voice commands, honestly, I've stopped using them for a while now. I think the only one that works reliably is the glove box open. But stuff that used to work, like even the reporting of bugs, doesn't work anymore. So anyway, you know, this is stuff, if you're considering a Tesla, you should get into knowing them. These cars are amazing, don't get me wrong, I really, really like them, but they do come with their issues, and they will get solved, which is the good news. And I hope that in the case of my friend, better resolution will come, but yeah, I'm not too confident about that. But at least they should, you know, communicate better with him, because his overall experience has been, I think, more than frustrating. But yeah, I think they can do better there. And of course, in terms of buying this car, you know, try not to get too upset if something, a bug happens. I'm not saying you should excuse it in any way. We should hold Tesla to high standards, which I think is perfectly reasonable, and you pay a good price for these cars, I mean a high price for these cars, so you should have high expectations. But realistically, you know, you should get into this knowing it. I actually expected some of this. The good news is you will get updates, but you should also ask for them. My experience is that, and the technician actually acknowledged this, he said, it does help us that people are reaching out to us and actually talking to us about these problems, so that we can prioritize them properly and make sure that they get solved. And it's true, overall, for some of the issues I've had, for example, Spotify is working a lot better now. I haven't had all of the issues that I had before. Some of the issues I had when I initially got the car are gone. I once had one of the worst ones, was the computer crash and reboot when I was driving. I've never had that one again. So, you know, there's stuff, and of course the autopilot has improved a lot. So there's definitely some improvements, but with new features, you do have to expect that it will take a few iterations before they are fully working. And that Christmas update, I think, was really rushed. Because they just had an update before that, and they rushed the Christmas update just to get something to people. You know, I get that, but at the same time, it's fine, I would say, for experienced and long-time Tesla owners, but for new ones, I think that's really a problem. So anyway, I just wanted to give you this update on what's been happening in the Tesla world recently. Again, you know, it's stuff that's perfectly fine if you go into it knowing it and stuff like that. I still highly recommend the car. For me, I almost always say, for me, it's the best car in the world because I see its potential and I can live with a lot of these quirks, if I could say. But of course, some might disagree. Some might say, you know, I'm coming from a German car. I expect it to be perfect. Those people will struggle with a Tesla and might not even like it and return it, which I understand perfectly. Anyway, so that's it for this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, make sure to put a thumbs up and subscribe and hit the notification bell to get notified when I release my next video. And of course, if you're interested in buying one of these great cars, don't get me wrong, still love them. You definitely should use a referral code. You'll get a supercharger electricity for free, 1,500 kilometers of that, and so will I, actually. And yeah, so don't hesitate to use the comments if you have any questions, and I love your feedback, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.